Windbreaker is an anime that came out in April 2024, and I heard a lot of good things about it. The fights, the characters, the humor, but I never really tapped in until now. You see, I was led to believe by my estranged assumptions here that this series was a series about delinquents fighting. And while it is also that, it's also about the personal growth of those fighters. It's more than the sum of its parts. I don't really know what that means, it just sounds cool to say out loud. Let me give you an example. In episode 1 of season 1, we're introduced to the main character, Sakura. And on the surface, he looks calm and ready to drop bombs, but it's a little bit more than that. Sakura is a kid who struggles with acceptance from others as well as accepting others. And his goal is to reach the top spot within this fighting club, basically. He wants to become the top dog of Bofurin. But over the course of season 1, Sakura slowly but surely is exposed to more and more people who are far more compassionate than he'd ever come to realize. And while we get to see Sakura engaging in these ruthless fights, we also get to see the progression of his character, one who believes he could do it all on his own, to one who has now been voted the class grade rep and is now in a position of authority, a leadership role, a role in which his classmates rely on him, and he too must also rely on them. And at the end of season 1, we see him take on that role and protect and help his classmates. And that starts with Anzai, who lost his friend to a rival gang known as Keel, which brings us swiftly into season 2. And season 2 is straight up fucking hands.
I got him caught in the mellow hype while I sit transfixed staring at a yellow light. Castles in clouds looking kinda
in the world of Windbreaker, there is no power system. There is no chaos tools. There is no nen, no kamehameha, no ki, no nothing, basically. It's all just straight hands and a dash of anime power, so people just be jumping about the place like they're, they have superpower strengths. But the majority of the fights that we have seen since season 1 have all felt sanctioned. It's almost as if we're watching an organized UFC fight card. For example, the fights between Bofurin and Lion's Head took place on a specific day in a specific place, and they were all one-on-one fights with spectators, and those fights were all to settle beef started between these two factions. So how can we raise the stakes going into season 2? We give the next set of fighters weapons. We give them metal bats, 2x4s, steel pipes, and wooden planks wrapped in barbed wire. We make them as ruthless as they come, so they have complete and utter disregard for the health and safety of their opponents. I mean, look at this shot of one of the students being smacked across the back of the head. This scene in particular, I absolutely loved. I'm an absolute sucker for when films, TV shows, anime, whatever it is that I'm watching, switches aspect ratios mid-shot. Whether it's done subtly or if it's done in a hard cut, it's a tactic that lets you, the audience, know just how serious things are within that moment right there, where you should be looking. The tunnel vision that you should have right now should be focused on this area right here in this moment. And holy fuck, the moments like these make for absolutely beautiful fights and just set up within the series. For example, look how beautiful this sequence is. Goon number 1 comes flying in with an overhand right against Shiryu. He dodges effortlessly and counters with a palm strike to the chest. Goon number 2 comes in for backup with a 2x4 and a downward strike. Once again, dodging effortlessly, and boom, a second set of palm strikes with a 1-2 to the face. And then we switch to Suo, defending attacks from a 2x4, effortlessly dodging and parrying and deflecting before landing a clean, nice elbow to the chest. And Suo is a character that I kind of want to focus on here, because in season 2, you get to see a little bit more of him, and he's kind of one of my favorite characters. Now, I mentioned earlier how this anime isn't just about fights of delinquents, but it's also about the characters and how they grow throughout the series. Character growth that really surprised me when I first watched this series. I went in here with low expectations, but they kind of met them, to be fair, and went above them. Well, Suo had one of these moments that was something kind of different to character growth. You see, in season 1, when the Bofurin are fighting the Lionhead, Suo's fight was utter domination, and I do mean that in every sense of the word. Suo's fighting style is nothing more than a counter fighter. He's a bullfighter, and his opponent is the bull. Suo constantly goads him into taking and making the next move, so Suo can just completely flip the script, quite literally, and he does it many times. And it gives you an insight into how Suo's brain works. He's the type who doesn't go out of his way to find fights, but he's often found in the center of these fights, defending who he must. We see it multiple times within season 1, and now we see it in season 2. And who he's defending happens to be none other than Nirai, who, a character, he is basically the UFC commentary table within this series. If you need statistics on a fighter, in Bofurin, this guy is basically Joe Rogan. He's that guy, and he can't really fight, but he serves as the hype man with a good good moral compass and is excellent at giving exposition on these fighters that we get to see. Now, Nire, realistically, he shouldn't have gone with Bofurin with these fighters when they went to fight with Keel, but due to the class's overwhelming sense of just camaraderie that has just built up all the way through Season 1 and now continuing to grow in Season 2, he goes anyway. And this results in him being absolutely pummeled after trying to heroically intervene with a fight that was happening in front of him. Now, this causes Suo to snap, and the next time we see him, that calm demeanor and that bullfighter style is no longer there, and instead it's replaced with a much more aggressive and violent version of Suo, one that seems to take almost pleasure in beating the fuck out of an unconscious fighter until he is handily stopped by Sakura. This is almost the polar opposite of how his first fight went, and it brings me back to a quote that Umemio said in Season 1. Fights are conversations. Now, we saw this explored in the first season, but we really get it more within Season 2, sort of, but in a visual sense. Windbreaker goes out of its way to demonstrate the struggles and complexities of how each fighter is feeling and how it affects their fighting style. Sakura fights like he has something to prove, never giving up, when he is literally being stomped on. Choji fought without any weight behind his punches as a result of him simply being depressed. And he was essentially that season's Sisyphus. He was chasing an impossible dream, and when he finally caught that dream, he was empty. He didn't know what to do with himself. Notori fought against Ren as if he was a man possessed, and the only thing that was on this dude's mind was violence. And speaking of which, their fight is a perfect example of a fight that is a conversation. You see, Ren's whole deal within this series is that he is indeed a force to be reckoned with. Much like Sakura, he is not okay with acceptance or accepting people, and much like Sakura, he's been thrust into a role of leadership by people who rely on him as much as he relies on them. Now, as I mentioned earlier, Notori is a man who just absolutely thrives on violence. He's just one of those kind of psychopaths. He believes only in strength, and he spots Ren as someone who was an animal. But Ren doesn't feel the same way as Notori does. While Notori has given into that animalistic side, Ren tends to want to control what he is that makes him an animal and suppress it to be a better human, to be a better leader for his classmates. And even though these two talking and figuring out their differences and how to combat each other, they're slowly breaking down each other's psyche. And this controlled style of violence from Ren versus Notori's overwhelming lust for violence is just a beautiful contrast whenever they're fighting. And when I say violence, I do mean violence. I mean, this dude is quite literally, he's throwing kicks, punches, and he's wielding a metal bat until he beats the fuck out of Ren, until Ren eventually snaps, but sort of not quite as what we would be leading to believe as what he's done in the past, but we feel like he's kind of halfway there. And it's moments like these that have made me come to truly appreciate the simplicity of Windbreaker. See, Windbreaker is a story that doesn't need layers and layers of subtext. It doesn't need deeper layers for its characters to shine. It says, hey, you want to see some cool fucking fights from some honestly really human characters? Okay, I got you. And it proceeds to deliver just that, a superb blend of just awesome fights, introspective conversations dealing with a range of emotions from depression to loneliness and everything in between, to moments like these where it shows off just how wholesome it can be and how fun it can be. Windbreaker knows its audience, and it delivers a perfect showing of the package that audience wants. So maybe go check out Windbreaker. If you like Jujutsu Kaisen's fights or Sakamoto Days, hell, if you just like seeing well-planned and well-thought-out fights in anime, tap the fuck in. It's worth it. And Season 2 is airing currently with only 4 episodes up. But yeah, anyways, that's everything from me. As always, be sure to like and subscribe. Consider checking out my other videos. I have a variety of content on the channel here, ranging from Batman videos to 3-hour-long Jujutsu Kaisen videos. So there's probably something in there that you might enjoy. If you want to see more anime from me, let me know in the comments down below. And as always, I'll catch you guys all in the next one. Much fucking love. Big fucking kisses. Peace.